already? Let's see if I can. Possible. Makes me feel better. Okay. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. I know people will be... Karen, this is stretching it. I'm glad we're doing Adobe Spark and not something a bit more taxing on the brain. This will be a good late night Appy hour. Feels like Appy hour after dark. I just remembered there were a few handles I couldn't DM. So we're just going to try to tag. Cool to see people from all over tonight. So that's exciting. Just gonna tag a few folks that we tweeted this out to. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody. We had a lot of people interested tonight. So there were a few handles that it wouldn't let me DM. Still not letting me DM her. If you have a friend that you notice I missed, feel free to pass it along. Or if I spelt their handle wrong, I think that may be my problem. Can't read my own handwriting. Okay, I think we got everybody. And we're always happy when Appy Hour gets you out of kitchen cleanup. That's amazing. All right. Hello, everyone. So we are going to be looking at Adobe Spark. It's web-based and it's app-based. For those of us in Peel, I'll show you how we can log in with our Peel account. Just trying. So Anne-Marie, you mentioned that in York, the kids have accounts, but the teachers have personal accounts. You can set up your own account anytime on Adobe Spark. So it's Adobe Spark is a really simple option. We could definitely look at one of the designing apps. So once you have your account set up, it will work on all the different apps. And the apps are a great way to get into their design tools because Photoshop, for example, is a little overwhelming. But when you use Photoshop Mix, it really breaks it down and makes it more accessible. So Adobe Spark's one of their simplest tools and a great entry point. It's one that you can use tomorrow, which is what we like, especially at this time of night. So if you aren't in Peel or don't know if your board has it, if you want to go to the website and just sign up for an account, I'm going to just go here. There's just the start now. We can do that as we're joining in. And yeah, if you're talking about Adobe, Adobe is one of those weird things. So there's a full version of Adobe that some of our schools purchase, which we would have on our desktop computers. So Photoshop, Premiere, InDesign. And then Adobe has Spark, which are these quick publishing tools. So it's always web-based. There's no app for it. And then Adobe then has this whole set of apps that only go on portable devices, but I love it. Latoya, I think the two of we looked at Adobe. What was the app we ended up looking at? Was it Adobe Paint? Sketch. We'll have to look it up again. So Adobe has apps for Android and Apple exploring all of their design tools. So they're really ways to get your feet wet with Adobe before you get into those full-on programs. So a lot of options with Adobe out there. This gets us familiar with our account and it gets us creating, but it's really simple entry point. For those that have come to the other Appy hours, I feel like this is going to be the simplest. We probably should have started with this and worked our way up, especially if you made it through Apple Clips with us. But I think it's a fun one. And it's a great one knowing that kids in some of our school boards have access to it. It makes it that much easier as a tool for them really to express themselves and to show their learning. So yeah, we're gonna get started in about 5 minutes. If you're new to Appy Hour, we just use the chat box. I don't know which side of your screen it's on. Along the side, if you're not logged into a YouTube yet, just make sure up in the top corner you see your little icon. And any Gmail account will get you into YouTube so we can chat. Hello. Thanks for joining us, Melissa. Adobe Sketch. It's great that I remember the app. So my favorite new Adobe app is Adobe Fresco. It has these amazing options, but it wasn't on Google yet. And I wanted an app that was available on both. Right side of the screen for the chat box. Thanks, Melanie. Fixing up. So tonight, my goal is to be better at paraphrasing the questions I see on the screen. I know a lot of times in the last few weeks I've read it and then I just answered it without sharing that for the group. Our other goal is after tonight, we'll try to edit this up and clean it up a little bit and then post it so you can check it out another time. Welcome, everyone. So I know 9's kind of pushing it. Do people like the later Appy Hour time? 7 is still the best time? I was debating a family Appy Hour, but I guess there are all things we could do together. So we have a few more minutes before we start. Again, if you're just joining us, just log into YouTube to be able to chat along the side. 7 is best. The Coke is helping me out. So that's any hours Appy Hour. I love that. Maybe we can. When do folks? I see kids are in bed now. When do kids are asleep at 9, not always at 7? Hey, Sarah. Thanks for joining us. Would you want to do an Appy Hour with your kids if we did something like stop motion? Would they be game? You could try that one time. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining for the late hour. Sorry for the lighting. Feels more, sets the mood. Erin, I'm with you. When we've been doing Appy Hour at 7, I end up eating afterwards. I don't know what happened lately. I always eat late, but it seems to be getting later and later. Yeah, I know sometimes other accounts are in there. That's okay. No worries. San Diego. Thanks for joining us. And I need to get better with time zones. 1,700 students. Wow. That's huge. Thank you guys for joining us. Stop motion with the kids. Yeah, I know that's the hard part. The kids go to sleep at 9, but some other folks go to big people go to sleep at 9 too, eh? Go Padres. Oh wow, 1950. Mary, that is one huge. Oh, to the Padres. Cyril, I need to step up my baseball game, obviously. Maybe we'll just have to alternate weeks. 1 week 7, 1 week 9. We'll put it into one of the polls again. So if you're just joining us, welcome. Yeah, that seems to be it, eh? The kids go to bed. So if you're just joining us and it's your first time, YouTube, we're just using the YouTube live comments. So throughout the night, you can drop in your ideas or questions. Every time we've done this, people have great ideas or can help with different strategies, which is awesome. We're just doing introductions to get started. Just a reminder, tonight we're looking at Adobe Spark. So it's a really simple tool for all of those that have come before. I feel like we went in reverse order. This is probably the easiest one, but it's a great tool to even bring back to kids if they're looking for an option to share in different ways. So yeah, so our hope tonight is we'll get started in a few minutes. We'll just give you a little intro to the Adobe Suite, talk about some of the differences. I know that's come up already. Because Adobe's kind of known for those big tools like Photoshop and Premiere, but Spark is kind of a great entryway. There's lots of Adobe apps we could look at. Simple, definitely simple, Karen. But Adobe Spark is just this clean, simple, when you just want to capture your voice and share it. Great if you're using social media platforms as well, because you can share, they have different formats that kind of fit that. Or even bringing it into our choice grids like we talked about if you want to set that provocation or set that tone. So for those people that are just joining us tonight, this is kind of, we like to call it messy, authentic learning. It's not necessarily the most polished. As we go through the night, we'll show you something, we'll pause so that you can write your comments, try it out. The goal is really that if you're more of one of those do people, you can follow along as the night goes on. And you can ask up when we're exploring apps. And leave notes, because I know some of you guys are probably pros at these tools as well. Just want to wait a minute or two while people are coming in. Maybe while we're starting, we can just share something that you've been thankful for over the last week. That's it, right? If Emery, it feels like we've been living in multiple tab world. While I've been on secondment, we have 2 screens when we're doing a lot of our work. So it's been weird having just one screen, because you're constantly flipping back and forth, and I keep forgetting what screen I'm even on. It's weird this weekend, one of those days that it was beautiful, I went, oh, this week, Monday, feels like the weekend. I went for a walk and it was so nice to just get outside, fresh air. I live by the lake in Toronto, so the water always makes me feel better. Oh, so Mary, that's awesome, you can get in. Sunshine makes such a huge difference, doesn't it? Oh, painted. For my 100-day project, I'm working on this, making a map of PI. It's been so exciting. It will look terrible, but we're going with it. Oh, great to have kids home, eh? Warm coffee in an actual mug. That's always a good thing. Oh, it's hard when we're not there, but it is nice. It is a different year, isn't it? Great weather. I know, it's so nice to have spring. Walks in the neighborhood. Is everybody else, like, is it super busy where you're at? I'm by the lake, so I get, and there's a lot of condos down here, but every time I go out, everybody seems to be out. It is awesome to connect with people. Yeah, those bugs. The little flies, they're so annoying. Longer days. It is so nice to still see the sun for a while. Oh, puppy dog. I'm convinced this time is going to convince me to buy a dog. Get a dog. Yeah. My problem is one side is High Park and one side's the lake, so I always end up in crowds. So happy that you're all joining us tonight. Thank you for joining us from different parts of the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, but beyond. It's so awesome to have everybody here tonight. So if you're just joining us, a reminder that we're going to be looking at Adobe Spark, one of Adobe's really simple web-based and app-based tools that can get us started. So tonight, I just thought I'd give you a little overview of Adobe Spark, and then we'll look at the 3 options that are built into the web-based tool and the 3 different apps. And then we'll get started with making a clip, if that's okay. Has anybody used Adobe Spark before? If you have, just drop it in. So just coming back to Adobe, if you've never used Adobe before, usually when you think Adobe, you think Photoshop. So some schools have purchased the license to use the full tools of Adobe. So Photoshop, Premiere, they're kind of the fancy tools, and they seem a little overwhelming a bit. So if, as much as Adobe has that suite on the computer, we also have a set of tools that are web-based and app-based. So Adobe has apps for all of those full programs like Photoshop Mix, Photoshop Elements, Adobe Fresco, Adobe Sketch. So lots of options there. But Adobe Spark is kind of their quick editing tool, and it allows us to really create one of 3 things. So in Adobe Spark, you can either make a video, short digital stories, you can make a page, or you can make a post. So a page is kind of like a web page. We've used it a lot for portfolios even, especially in high school or middle school, letting them kind of curate and it looks really clean. And then posts is for any of those things you want to put on social media. And they have great templates that you can build on. I'll show you a couple that I was just playing with the other day to get us started. That's awesome. So I hope I have something new for you, fingers crossed, or those that have used it can help us and give some suggestions. But we'll get started and dive in and just show you a little tour. And then I'll come back and show you what we're going to do with our video. So with Adobe Spark, I'm just on the website here. I'm going to max, I'll just put that right there. So when I'm on Adobe Spark, lots of possibilities here, but I'm just going to start with the Start Now or Sign In option. So if you're not in a school board that has signed up, just click on Start Now and you can create your own Adobe account. It will work for all their apps. So once you do this once, you're good. But for us in Peel in particular, if I go to sign in, and I believe Toronto has accounts set up as well, and York probably does too. I know some people mentioned that. So when I go to sign up, it's going to anytime. On my iPad, it would just go straight to an email. On the computer here, it's going to let me choose the teacher or school option here on the right. So once I click on log into school, I'm going to put my email in. Again, for Peel, you're going to put in your PLSB email. For colleagues, for students, they would put in their pdsb.net. Hey, that's awesome, Anna Maria. Again, it's Adobe last year said that they wanted everybody to have access to their Creative Suite or creative tools. So Adobe Spark, they're giving to education for free. So if you haven't touched base with your board, if they haven't set up accounts, they can. It's a great option to tap into this resource and to set students up safely. So it's a tool they all have access to. So I'm just going to say continue. And I'll take my screen off for a second when I put my password in. But you'll see this in the app as well. So I have the personal account option or the company or school account option. I'm going to choose my company account option. Hey, Yay, Thames Valley is signed up. That's awesome. And then I'm going to use my single sign-on for my board. It's already in. That's awesome. Okay. Let me see how I can switch this over so everybody's not stuck. I trust you all with my password, but I realize it's on YouTube. All right, here we go. Back to it. So I'll give you a minute just so that you can sign in. Again, in the app, let me just, did we get logged in if we're using the app? Let's see if I can find a different Adobe app. Adobe page. It's one of those things that the accounts were kind of set up over the last year as things happened. And sometimes it's just a great hidden secret. So I'm just going to sign out here so you can see the area. So on the app, I'd be going to the bottom where it says log in because I already have an account. And again, you use your email and you're going to see those same steps we saw on the screen. That's another thing I love about Adobe Spark. It's available on Android, Apple, phone, tablet, web-based. So it's really one of those device agnostic kind of tools. So everybody can kind of use whatever they have access to. Okay, awesome. So I'll just walk through the 3 options here just to show you the different tools. So like we said, we're going to be focusing on video tonight, but we do have a couple other options. So if I come into, they have a new option here. It may just be a bit delayed if the chat isn't matching. Hopefully it does match as it comes along. Great when the tool goes awry. Sorry, folks. Let me just tell you what's on Adobe Spark. So Adobe Spark has 3 options. Adobe Spark Page, and it looks like they've added a 4th option, which is super cool. Adobe Spark Page lets you create a website. I love it when I'm curating resources or trying to tell a story. Like we said, we had a lot of kids using it for portfolios, especially if they're doing an inquiry project and they're adding to it over time. The other option you have is to create a post, and posts are kind of social media posts. So last night I was playing around and I was able to create a little scavenger hunt image that I could post on Instagram if I wanted to. I could create a little image for my Twitter feed or Seesaw. So you have all of those quick image options. I'm just going to put this in airplane mode to see if that helps. It really just does not like me right now. Technology went way too smoothly tonight, people. It's revolting on me now. So I was able to just take the template that they had and change up the design and change up the colors. To me, I started with Adobe Spark Video. One, because I was looking for a digital storytelling tool that even little kids, our friends in grade 1 and kindergarten, even things we could use in kindergarten to summarize our inquiries. And Adobe Spark, especially on the iPad app where they could take pictures and then add those pieces, was a great fit. So it was really where I started with Adobe Spark. And Adobe Spark makes everything look really clean, but it's still super easy to use, which we all love tools that make things look great but aren't too complicated. So I'm going to change to my iPad just to see if that cooperates a bit better for us. And we'll hopefully be a little more successful. Is everybody still able to access the chat? Hopefully it does. And we're good. Okay, so I'm on my iPad. I'm just going to open Adobe Spark Video, the app. You can see I can access all of my videos that I've previously made and go back and edit them. I can also download them there at the end where I see the download button. And with my 3 dots, I can get into playing, deleting, duplicating, and remixing if I wanted to. So to make a new video, on the bottom, there's just that red plus sign, orangish red plus sign. If I tap on it, it's going to let me create a new video. And I'm just going to use, I can use a story template, but I'm going to skip to editor because I just want to do my own thing. Awesome. So let me know if you've gotten into Adobe Spark and you have that first page ready, just so we know we're all on the same page. Drop a yes in the comments or a thumbs up. Awesome. So Adobe Spark, kind of like clips, we're seeing that timeline option that we often see in videos along the bottom. And we're going to see they've created a couple slides for us already. We have that first slide to get started with, and they create a credit slide. So for all the teacher librarians in the group, everyone really, I'm not always great at it. It will give credit for the icons that come from the NAM project, if anybody was here last week, as well as any images that come from Adobe stock photos. It automatically sources them at the end of our clip. So a great conversation to talk about Creative Commons and that use. Awesome. So first things first, everything on Adobe Spark is going to be that record button and that plus sign. So we're always going to look for those two options. So I'm going to go back just so we can see. So if I'm on this main page here with all of my different videos, it may be empty for you. You're going to click on the plus sign on the bottom, that little red plus sign. And then when we get this little window, we're just going to skip to editor, the last option there. They have lots of story templates. Again, great for kids that need that structure, but we're going to bypass it tonight. So we're starting with Adobe Spark Video. Our hope is tonight that we'll all be able to create a video. And then if we have more time, we'll look at one of the other apps. So hopefully at this point, we've logged into Adobe Spark Video. You have started your clip. We're on this page. And we're ready to go. Now you're, yeah, let me see if I can get it to just show the comparable. Sorry, you're gonna see a weird screen for a second. It's good when it won't even open a window for me. Let's do, all right. Adobe Spark. So for the most part, the buttons will look the same. Melanie. Of course, Melanie's going to be sourcing is the new thing. We've always done it, right? So I'll try to bring it back to the web-based version. It's a little sluggish for me tonight for some reason. So if you're on the website, that record button will be the same. We have to give it a title first. We get away with not giving it a title yet on the iPad. And then I can, again, over here, I can start from scratch and bypass those templates. Awesome. Okay, let me come back over to the app. So everything is that record button and the plus sign. So I'm going to tap on the plus sign, and I'm going to get a couple different options. Again, on the screen, it may look different, but that plus sign will always be the same. You're going to see I can add video. Don't think of this tool as a video editing tool, though. it really is more a video playing in the background. Think of a GIF or setting a scene. I can do text. I can bring in a photo, or I can do an icon. So let's just try text on this page. We'll explore the other ones later. And I want to say stable structures. Now it will automatically set the font, but they've now added an option that you can increase or decrease the font. So if you've played with Adobe Spark in the past, you didn't have as much options. You can't change the font. We'll show you how you can change kind of the whole theme later. So I'm going to say done. And this clip automatically will be added to my video right under the slide. And on the computer, I think you're in the corner, you're going to see that it sets everything automatically to 4 seconds. But if I record, it's going to set it to the length that I talk for. Just like in clips and Flipgrid Shorts, a little trick for me is I count 1 Mississippi in my head before I start talking and count 1 Mississippi in my head before I let go of the microphone, because I always forget. But yeah, you have different options. Let's chat stable structures. So yeah, add your first slide and we'll take all those questions. Just drop them in the comments as you go along and let us know when that first slide is ready to go. Gurdeep, because I know Christine and I were chatting a little bit about this. Why would I use Adobe Spark over another tool like iMovie or Clips? To me, Adobe Spark, I go to Adobe Spark when I don't actually have pictures, because Adobe Spark has a lot of things built into the themes and allows me to use icons. So one day we created like an emotion social story with Adobe Spark video, because it had all the symbols. We could grab all the icons for their feelings. I'll do it if I have some pictures and want to create a digital story. So I want that picture and text combination. But if you're wanting to edit like a long video, I have a clip of every student saying their commitment to the earth. Then I would do that in iMovie, or I would do it in Clips, because then I can actually edit that video. It definitely is a very great beginner project. We've used it in French immersion a lot. Great, because they can be creating those clips in different options. A lot of built-in tools, like you said, Anne-Marie, it's already available for them, so they're not having to go look. I started from scratch just because I didn't want the template. If you choose a template, it just puts on the bottom, just tells you what to do on that page. Are we okay if we add to the next slide? You're welcome. And it's like we talked about with these Appy hours, it's really about building our toolbox and finding that tool that works for us, that works for our kids, or that works for the task we're doing at hand. So it's always choosing what works best for you at that moment. And we all have our favorites too, right? So it's finding that match. Okay, so I have my first slide. I want to add another slide. So on the bottom of my screen, and again, you just have in your, on the web-based version, it will still be on the bottom. We're going to look to add a new slide. So on the bottom of my screen, I see my timeline. I see my slide I've added with stable structures. I see the play button, so I can play it back. And on the end of that row there, I see a plus sign, so I can add another slide. Now, this slide would be pretty basic if every slide looks exactly the same. So I actually have the option to change the layout. So on the top of my screen, there's a layout option. And I can decide on the layout. So on this one, I want to maybe have a picture and have text underneath. Maybe we'll have a picture on the side and text on the side. Again, limited options. So it's great as a tool for learners, or great when you're wanting to create those quick clips, because I'm not spending a lot of time trying different options. And again, coming back to those pieces, like we said, every time we push that plus sign, we're going to see the same options. We're going to see a lot of these options in the other two Adobe tools. So once you learn one of the apps, the other ones are easier to come to. Sarah, we'll come to that question next. We don't have a lot of control, but we can change the theme a bit. And with that comes some color options. So in this, I want to ask what makes a structure stable. Actually, I'm going to put that question on the next page. So on this page, I'm going to go look for a photo. So I want to put a structure in here. Now, one of the things you're going to notice with our photo is we can take a picture. So great if you're doing a photo walk prompt. Great if you're taking some math pictures around the house. You can choose photos you've already taken, so you can bring any of those in. I can also find free photos. So now I have to try to spell it right. Khalifa. Did I spell it right? Fingers crossed. So I can actually search for photos that are set to Creative Commons already and bring them into my story. The other option I have to bring in, and we're going to reverse those. There we go. It's not letting me do the icon. I'll have to show you on the next one. So I'll do that again. So again, your photos, take a picture, or I can go to find free photos. I think you're happy here. And tap and add it in to my creation. Structures are all around us. All right, so as you're adding the pictures, I'm going to come back to your questions and we'll hopefully be able, is there undo? I don't believe there's an undo. Has anybody else found an undo? They should add that. You should suggest that to them. So I'm going to come back and show you the photos again and show you the search bar. Anna Maria, there's no limit to the number of videos and posts. Adobe Spark will actually tell you if you're talking too long. So it will actually start telling you, oh, you've gone over 20 seconds or 10 seconds, I think. And then at 20 seconds, it will stop. But you are able to duplicate a slide and add some more on if you needed to talk more. So if I tap on any slide on my timeline, I can delete that slide. Again, if you tap on any object, you have the trash can and I can delete that object. So I can start again because maybe I just want to say structures here. So I'll go to text. I'll do that again. I'll trash that. I tap on that plus sign, go to photo. To get the search option, I have to use the magnifying glass so that I can go to find free photos. And then that search option should pop up. If you're using the web-based option, it's usually a panel just along the right side. I think because it's so simple, there's not a lot of steps that you would undo, like if we were in Google Slides. So it doesn't really give us that undo option. To be honest, I don't think a lot of video tools have undo options. I'm not sure why. Yeah, it is definitely a tool that makes you be more succinct. That's the one thing I found with Adobe Spark, especially when the reminders come up as you're talking. So let me just switch over to the desktop version and we can see if we can. So if I wanted to add an image on the desktop version, I go to photo. Over here on the side, again, I would say find free photos. And then I can come in here and I can search. So you have those options. Hope that helped. Just going to come back here. Tracy, when we're finished, you can decide how you share it. You can either download them and upload them, so they could drop them into your Google Classroom or into a Dropbox if you're using Brightspace. If you wanted to, though, there are also web links, so they could drop them into a chat and each see each other's. There's lots of different options. And I love that you can just download them on the iPad if you were doing something in a classroom and wanted to show it off. I don't think we used Adobe for a choice board. Hopefully I didn't talk about it, but maybe I did. The days and the ideas are all blurring together. So if somebody remembers, that's awesome. Okay, let's add another page because I want to show you one more option. And Mary, we'd love to see those book trailer options. It's one of my favorite uses for Adobe Spark. It's great for book trailers. Okay, so I'm into this next page. One other option, I'm going to do my caption and text layout. And another option that we have when we're creating our pages is an icon. So one of the things we talked about last week was the noun project. So icon directly links to the noun project and gives them credit. So no need to do any of those pieces, signing up or any of that jazz. So again, I want a structure. So none of those are really what I want. What do I want? Maybe I want a tower. Maybe that's a better word to search. Let's put the castle in. And again, I can come in and say what makes a stable structure. So icons, pictures, text, those are kind of your three main options as you're going along, and really allows you to bring it in. So if you've added an icon, you've added an image, you've recorded your voice, let us know in the chat, and we can make sure that everybody's gotten to that point. Bring in your questions. Great for public service announcements. Yeah, such a great suggestion. I'm trying to think all the ways we've used it. Book trailers was one of our first ways of joining in. I've used it a lot when I'm trying to teach people like a little mini lesson, especially when it's not a more of a step-based piece, but I just kind of want to do a little chat so they hear my voice and they have a visual to kind of focus on, but I don't need to spend too much time getting it ready. Yeah, we've done public service announcements. We've done reports. We've done the book trailers, English, French, inquiry recaps for the early years. Again, having that photo and camera option with the app means we can really be snapping photos that we have on our camera roll, or we can go document what we're learning. So a great way to kind of recap some of those inquiry areas, those provocations we're exploring. So again, with the import video and audio, if you want some of that control, you do want to use a full video editing tool. Think of Adobe Spark as slides with audio. So kind of like clips, you can put a soundtrack at the bottom, but you don't really have that full control. Now there's always ways to hack it. I can create my audio in a tool like GarageBand or Audacity or SoundCloud and put it into Adobe Spark. It's just coming to that piece of, is it worth that, or do you have a better tool to kind of do it? Being able to access it on multiple platforms really changes the game. Now, originally, Carolyn, I didn't see the option of resizing. You are able to resize your images So if I tap on an image, I'm often able to edit and zoom in, rearrange it, resize it. But unfortunately with icons, I think you're set to the container. Now for something like this, if I decided that isn't really big enough, I could try playing with my layouts to see if a different layout gives me a better view, but I'm not lucky there. Sorry, Aaron. This is definitely my go-to. So when families, when friends email me and say they want to make a quick video, Adobe Spark is always that first tool, and then Apple Clips because I love it. Yeah, it's just one of those simplest tools. You can do up to 2 pictures if you choose that split screen layout, but you can't really ever add more than 2 pictures. Remember, you have unlimited slides, so you can really add as many slides as you want. The other hack there would be if you created something in Pic Collage or Layout and dropped it in. Of course, you can hack it that way too. All right, any other questions? Do we all have an image, an icon, text, and our voice? Adobe is definitely an easier app to get started with. And if you're finding clips overwhelming, and I love Spark Page. I wrote some of my master's papers in it, curated some of my master's papers in it. Clips definitely has that video editing option, so it brings with it some other tools to play with. Just trying to see if I missed any. Sarah, I should create a top 10 of my favorite apps on the iPad, maybe. I have a lot. I keep saying I have favorites and everything else is my favorite, so I need to get better with that. For me, it's a creation app, so I always start with the Apple apps themselves. Spark, but I have a lot of Adobe's apps for creating a stop motion app, green screen app, but iMovie does that now too. Okay. So I'll show you one more time how to add the image and the icon. And I'll show you how to take a picture, and hopefully my condo's not too dirty. You won't see anything crazy. The credit page is super awesome because it really saves all of that. And oh, Sarah. I was going crazy there, Sarah. I was like, let me make a list of apps. Adobe Spark is definitely Spark Video is definitely the first one I would always do. Okay, one more time about the images, and then we'll show you themes. So if I have a new slide, if I go to the layout option that does a split screen, I'm able to add an icon. And usually you're able to add both. Is it just, Gotta love when people update apps and change it on me. All right, let's try one other template. Maybe that's a little glitch. Yeah, so if you go to full screen mode, you can have a picture in the background with the symbol on the front, or I can have text on the front. So again, you're just using those plus signs and looking for that combination. It seems like it's getting a little stuck that if I use icons, I have to just use icons in the split view. But that may just be an app update they haven't made yet. So Muriel, when we come to editing, so if I look at structures, blue is not the color that comes to mind when I think of structures. So if you want to change your colors and your fonts, really you have themes to work with. So up along the top of the screen, we looked at layout. Right beside it is the theme option. And you're going to see, again, limited choices, which sometimes you're like, ah. But I think this is actually the benefit when working with kids, because they have enough to work with, but not too many to be overwhelming. So for me, with this stable structures, I like this black kind of feel. It gives me more of that material. And notice how I have the colors on the bottom. So if I click on the pencil, I'm able to make a couple slight additions to my theme. So it's telling me I can change the color of my font on that black background. So again, if I go up to theme in the top, I'm able to choose a theme. This one kind of looks cool too with the different settings. Again, if I go to pencil, I can see again for themes, I can change the text. And there'll be built-in animations. This is really the winning feature of Adobe Spark. So if I haven't already, on the bottom left-hand side of my screen, there's a play button that's highlighted in gray. That will play my whole clip. The one up top right under stable structures is only going to play that one clip, that one slide. So I'm going to play it all, and we're going to see, hopefully, it does all those animations for me automatically. So it really makes this video look slick and animated without me having to do any of that work. So I'm going to just show again for those folks that are exploring how to get the picture in the background and the object on top. So under layout, I'm going to choose the full screen option. And you're going to notice you have two plus signs. There's one hiding in the back top left. So I can hit that plus sign and go to photo. And then I have this plus sign on the top, and I can add the text or the icon there. So we can do CN Tower. It wants to autocorrect on me. So if you're posting this to Instagram, I would be using the download option and then posting it right to my feed. Embedding is more if you use a website. So if you're using a Google site for your classroom, or you're using Brightspace, that's when I want the embed code so I can put it right on the website. But if we're posting to social media, I use the download option. It just makes it that much more accessible. So how are we doing? We've changed the theme. We have an image, we have an icon, we have some text. We have some voice. Let me know, and we'll tackle the resize and the music next. So I'll just do resize. Resize is one of those things, it's not really that big of a deal, especially now that Instagram and some of those tools allow you to post different sizes. But if you are thinking, like Sarah, if you're thinking of using this for Instagram, resize allows you to resize to that square option. So it will actually fit your profile better. So it automatically turns all my slides into that other view. I usually try to resize it before I get creating, because just things will look differently. And different layouts, different themes will lay out things in different ways. But yeah, that resize option is a nice feature just to fit more your social media streams. Okay, we've almost rocked Adobe Spark, just saying. You guys are like experts. And I'm glad it's easy to follow. Sometimes I get carried away. So I'm glad we're hanging out. So my clip is ready. I want to choose music. Again, based on the theme, it already chooses music for me. So in theory, I don't ever have to go to the music tab. We did go to the music tab when we wanted to do book trailers because we wanted that sound to match what our book feeling was. Again, for public service announcements, maybe we want to make sure that sound connects. But yeah, if you were just making this for your kids, you could just stop right now and you have that music. So I'm going to go to the music tab though. Notice at the top, it's not going to let me zoom in. There's two options to choose from iTunes and choose from files. Before you get too excited with choose from iTunes, especially if you're using an Apple product, most of the time your iTunes songs won't come in because the production companies have put limitations on. So I always try to get the kids to go straight to the Creative Commons songs that they've picked. Choose from files is kind of handy because they could design their own music. Again, not where I would start, but they are there for you if you wanted to. The other thing I love is that it goes by moods. So again, stable structures, I can decide, do I want a happy feeling, playful feeling, relaxed, rousing, thematic, thoughtful, uplifting, warm? Maybe uplifting sounds good, so I can test the song out. I can decide the sound level. Again, it sets it automatically for you, so kids always find these tools. We don't actually often have to show them that you can change up the colors in a theme, and they always find different fonts, different options that I haven't shown them. So it's definitely there if you need it. But again, it's Creative Commons, so when I go to that credit slide, it's accredited all of those different pieces that we have. So any of the work is sourced there at the bend. Yeah, definitely the same as Apple Clips with songs. And I think I love the fact that it has so many of those music options, because I think kids often, and there's benefits to that too, kids often will get stuck wanting to use something that's cool or is their favorite song instead of thinking of what helps them tell their message. So by using the music that's built in, it really can help us kind of tap into that of thinking about the message. But yeah. So I have music, I have a theme, I have my size. I'm feeling, if it's not sourced, it's because it belongs to Adobe. So usually everything that's in there is sourced. I also love that they add a section that you can add a credit. So if it was my class, I saw somebody posted a great piece about sharing artwork, student artwork. So I could actually put a line in of the artwork was created by 5C. So you are able to add those credits in as well. So it gives you that freedom. So one last thing before we get to the share option, and I think it's the first time we got done in time. Mary, that is the one downside, and I don't know if any of the people that have been playing with clips find that. Sometimes the song choices, they always pick the same songs, and it does get a little repetitive. So I'm going to check out Incompetech. That sounds awesome. A musical hiccup. So one of the things that may be happening with the musical hiccup is that remember that each of your clips has that voice on it. So a couple things that I've learned along the way. One is if I have a clip, I don't want to delete this. I just want to delete my recording. So I can actually tap on the timer there underneath where I see the little sound waves, and I can remove the narration. So just like Apple Clips, it's going to lower the volume as you're talking so that it balances. That's the only thing I could think of for a musical hiccup. Hopefully that's it. The other piece is if I wanted to, I can hold a slide and it pops up. Again, you're going to see similar things when we use clips and when we use Flipgrid Shorts. So I can rearrange them and decide what order I want all my slides to be in. So yeah, so our clip is ready. We're going to look at how to download it if we're all good. Just give me a yes, we're good. And sorry for anybody that missed it, to delete a slide, I have this blank slide here I need to get rid of. Tap on your slide, and I get a little menu that pops up. So I can preview from there, start my movie from there, duplicate if, again, I ran out of time, or delete that slide. I'm loving bend sound. We use them for a lot of I use them for a lot of my keynote animations. Not a ton to choose from, but they were great, especially for length and when using iMovie. All right, we're good. This is awesome. Okay, so I've made my clip. Lots of options here. It autosaves. We love tools that autosave, but I want to share it now. So if I click on the top, let me just move my pointer out of the way. I have a little share icon in the top corner, and I'm going to get a lot of different options. To be honest, I only use two. So I usually save to camera roll or copy to clipboard. I don't know about you, but I find a lot of times when I go to post directly, something happens. And I can post from my camera roll if it's under 2 minutes on Twitter, under 1 minute on Instagram. And if I copy the link to the clipboard, I can post it where I want it to be as well. So yeah, I'm going to come back to your questions, so don't let me forget. So when I go to share, if I save to my camera roll, great option if I want to post it on Instagram, post it into my Google Classroom because I have the app on my device. Great even if I'm doing a family event and I just want it on that device itself. But if you want to share it, maybe it's a longer clip, you've made a 5-minute clip, that's really where that copy link to clipboard comes in handy. And it's going to ask you a couple questions as you set it up. So if you're online, you're going to get a couple questions about asking whether you want your name shown as you publish. But this just publishes it to Adobe Spark's page, and then I get a link I can share. So when we talked about kids creating with it, they could, and if you wanted the whole class to see, they literally could drop it into the comments or into a question task if it's too hard for them to figure out how to share the clips. Anna Maria, are you using the computer? Maybe I'll just do the share from the computer. So from the computer, you see a couple different options if you're on the web-based version. So preview will show you what they'll see. So it gives you just kind of a little view of it so you can check out the video clip. Mine's very boring right now. It's just the one. Share is going to give me that option to publish, and publish is going to give me the link. So again, you have a couple more options when you're online. So I can say what this is for education. I can turn that off so that they don't see I'm the author, and I can create a link. The download option, again, will save it to my device itself. So it will save it to your Chromebook, to your Google Drive. So let me come back to some of the questions. I'm going to switch this back to my iPad, and let's tackle some of those questions. So I'm going to just go up because I missed a couple. So the credit slide is added automatically. It's the last slide. Unless I don't think you can even delete it. You can only hide the credits. So it will automatically be there, and it automatically does all of it for you. You don't have to touch it or do any of that. Yeah, you can record your voice on any slide. So on any slide, I see that microphone, and the structure I see every day out my window is the CN Tower. Super far away. I don't know why I said that. So I can see that little timer says 5 seconds. I can also remove that narration and just have it automatically go for the time that Adobe chooses, or I can adjust it. So it's up to you whether that slide has voice or not. It's really your choice. Taking some more questions. If you make a mistake with the recording, so with CN Tower, I'm going to record, and oops, I made a mistake. I can't edit like we would in Apple Clips, but I can tap and remove the narration for just this slide. So I can redo this slide, so I don't have to redo the whole clip, the whole video, but there isn't a way to just edit a part of it, if that makes sense, unless somebody else has found that. linking audio is a little tricky again because I have to pick music from the music tab. So it would have to be in my iTunes, in my files, or choosing one of those clips that they've provided for us. Again, each of these tools kind of serves a different purpose, a different time when you're exploring. So I don't believe there's a way to save it directly to Google Drive. Now, if you save to your camera roll, you can then drop it into your Google Drive. If you're using a Chromebook, it should save automatically into your Google Drive as well. Yeah, so the publish and invite is the options you see online. So when I share, so one thing that Adobe, wrong tool. One thing that Adobe Spark added is you can now collaborate. So you can add someone else as a co-constructor of your video or your page. So that's why you see the invite option when you're online. And publish is when you want to get the link. So that's why you see those two options. I just went too far. Yeah, Melissa, the transitions are completely tied to the theme. So just to see, like, again, this was my Elevate theme. If I went to the Flare theme, oh my goodness, that's bright. And play it helps if I'm showing you the right screen. There we go. You're gonna see you get completely different designs and even different layouts. So you have to just kind of explore a little bit. So everything has a pink tinge. It's a lot of pink right now. I'm not a huge fan of pink. Need to switch it back. So once you get a link, Barb, you can definitely post it in an email to parents. You can post it to FreshGrade, and that's a bonus of having that copy to link. It's just a link that anybody can access. It's read-only. They can't change what you've created. It's just a published link, and it will stay there as long as you want it to. So when you're looking at the name online, it's because it's linked to your account. So when you go to share and publish, there should be a way to change that up. It may have to be in your settings within Adobe Spark. Sorry about that. That's a great question. So for me, I'm often lazy and I like using my device. So a lot of times for Google Classroom, I would just attach it. But I think the link option is a great possibility if you wanted to upload it into Google Classroom. Sorry, my app is just loading and I'm on the wrong screen. So I've copied that link. So if I was in Google Classroom, I'm gonna go to classwork. I think I've tested the internet capacities using 3 devices tonight. Oh, sorry, people. Let's go to materials. And I use my link, and I could drop it in there and add. So it's an easy way to kind of attach it. But again, remember, we can always go to pick photo and pull it from our camera roll as well. So you have those options. So Lorianne, great question. If you make changes to your video, let's add another slide just to show you. When I go to share, kind of like your website options, you can update the link. So they won't see those changes until you update the link. So it just means that you can mess about, and then once you're ready, just hit update, and then they'll get that most recent version. Yeah, definitely. You have to use the web-based version, though, to collaborate. So whether you're in the video itself, or I'm just going to go out. So if I'm here, this is my project, I'm finished, I want to share it with my colleague. 3 dots, and you're going to see that you can share it. And I can invite. So I can Sure. So Mel and I worked on one with Michelle and Amanda. Am I missing somebody? So we were all able to do that together. So I'm just using their email address to add them to the group. Yeah, I know there's no direct access, but hopefully eventually they get it, bring it in. Especially since Adobe Spark has really taken that focus on education in mind. It may be something they add. They're always tweaking it. Originally, there was no opportunity to collaborate. That's just something that's come in the last 6 months, I think, last year. So it's been great. Really changing the game for that. It's 10 o'clock. We made it. Thank you so much for hanging out. Yeah. So Jennifer, there is an option, like we said, with the plus sign to in the background to bring in video, but I don't see it as video editing. I see it more as a animated background. So for me, again, I go to Adobe Spark when I want to, share ideas quickly, when I just want a visual for them to kind of focus on, and it helps with that. But yeah, if you're going to video editing, any of the screencasts, I usually go to Clips or iMovie. Yeah, Melissa, so when Melanie, Michelle, and Amanda and I worked on it, Amanda was in a different school board. So that definitely is a possibility. So Tracy, that's a trick when we're sharing in Google Classroom, because a lot of times they can share it, but as an assignment, you see it. So my workaround, I think, would be to add a question in Google Classroom and then set it so that they can comment on each other in Google Classroom. So as a question, they could post the link, and then hopefully they could comment on each other's. It would just keep it more organized. They could always drop it in the comments on the stream, but that could get a little messy. We could definitely take that out, explore that a little more. Thank you so much for hanging out for Appy Hour. Thanks for staying up past your bedtime. I hope it's just another tool that we add to our toolbox as we're looking to bring that presence to our online spaces. For next week, we still had people that wanted to look at Google Forms and Google Sites. We talked about doing stop motion and doing a family kind of creation night. So watch, I'll post on Sunday, I'll post a poll again, and we'll go with what the majority of the group wants. Thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks for going with the flow. Thanks for bringing your questions. It was awesome hanging out. I can't believe we all stayed up to 10. I haven't ever found a cap to how long the videos can be. It's more your slides are limited. So I found that once I've done more than 20 seconds on a slide, it cut me off. But I've done clips as long as 7-8 minutes. I try not to do clips that long anymore. I'm terrible, but I try to stay to 5 minutes because nobody listens after 5 minutes. But you all stayed on for an hour. But yeah, there isn't a set limit to the whole clip, but each slide is limited to 20 seconds, I think it is. It starts giving you little pop-ups that, hey, that may be too long. Okay, stop motion and Google Sites seems to be things people are interested in. Thank you guys for hanging out. It's been a fun night. These are always awesome times to collaborate. So it seems like a lot of people are interested in stop motion. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for joining us, Mary. I don't know if we, maybe when I send the video, we had a big group sign up tonight, so we had 2 DMs. Mary, if you can, if you want to show off some of that awesome work when I send the video tomorrow morning, I'll make sure to include it if people missed it in the flow. I can't wait to see the kids' work. Google Forms and quizzes. So stop motion and Google Forms seem to be the big ones. If you have more questions, feel free to drop them in. Thanks again for coming to the late night edition. Oh, Aaron, that's awesome. I think that's why I do like Adobe Spark. Sometimes we just want to quickly take student work or take an idea and publish it, and Adobe is amazing for that. It's really such a clean frame to highlight student work. Again, we'll stay on for about 5 more minutes. We'll we'll edit the video a little bit so it's a little shorter and cut off some of that intro time as we were all joining. And I'll make sure to send that in our DM chat. And on Sunday, we'll post a poll for next week's happy hour, and we'll put a poll out too for timing, just to see what works best for people. Glad you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for joining. I'll stay on for the next few minutes if you have any other questions. Lorian, it will auto-save for you. So if you're on the app, I leave it logged in so that I don't have to keep logging in. And I seem to be lazy. If you're online, you can log out if you want, but it will just automatically log you out once you shut down. Oh, to YouTube. YouTube will keep you logged in as well. Sorry. So YouTube will keep you logged in. If you're okay with that, that's cool. If you do have a shared computer, that's where profiles are really helpful. I know some people talked about the kids are on. So the profiles just lets you switch easily between different accounts. Thank you folks for joining tonight. Thanks to Mel for helping with the chat. All right. See you, everyone. Have a great night.